Welcome to Esoterica, the podcast, where we discuss the unusual, offbeat, and obscure. I'm Chris Schultz.
And I'm Aaron Christian.
Today's episode is brought to us by the Hanzo Foundation. The Hanzo Foundation stands at the vanguard of social and scientific research for the advancement of the human race. For 40 years, the Foundation has offered grants to worthy experiments designed to further the evolution of the human race and provide technological solutions to the most pressing problems of our time. The Hanzo Foundation, a commitment to encouraging excellence in science and technology and furthering the cause of human development. So welcome to another episode.
Episode 2 of Season 3.
It's amazing that we've gone this far.
It is. It's quite fascinating that we've made it as far as we have, especially in the civil war we call America.
So it's funny, a little aside, there's been a meme going around on Facebook showing, Mad Max the Road Warrior took place in 2021 in its fictional universe, and people have been posting pictures of the characters from that saying, is this what we expect this year? I was talking about that in March during the Land of the Loops episode, that I didn't want to have to wear assless chaps. And here we are. We're not quite there, but there was some... And that dude at the Capitol that they keep saying was wearing a Viking hat, that was a buffalo hat. That's like Native American, not Viking.
You do know that Al Gore warned us about Man Bear Pig, right?
He did. And we'll rue the day.
So why don't you tell us what we're listening to today?
Yes, back on topic. So we got something a little different today. We're going to be listening to The Who. And you might say to yourself, The Who? They're not esoteric, but we're not talking about the lads from Liverpool, or actually I'm not sure where The Who is from. They're from England, but maybe not Liverpool. This is The Who, which is a Mongolian metal band.
That's H-U.
H-U, yeah. When I first heard of them, I called them The Hue, which was an intentional mispronunciation just to differentiate them from The Who. The Who is a band from Mongolia. They blend heavy metal and traditional Mongolian throat singing. So the name The Who is the Mongolian root word for human being, and they call their style Hunnu Rock, which is inspired by Hunnu, an ancient Mongolian empire, which we here in the West know as the Huns. And a lot of their lyrics include old Mongolian war cries and poetry.
Old Mongolian war cries, a sentence I never thought I'd ever hear in my life.
Right? So it's cool. They sing, obviously, they're Mongolian. They sing in their native language. They rose to some notoriety early 2019 when a couple of their videos went viral on YouTube, and they released an album and actually toured in support of that. The cool thing is these guys have been at it. They were founded in 2016 by their producer Dashka, and they spent, actually I think they were prior to that, they spent about 9 years developing the sound, figuring out how to incorporate heavy metal with the traditional Mongolian throat singing. There's 4 members of the band, and they go by their nicknames: Gala, Jaya, Temka, and Enkush. I wouldn't even try to pronounce their actual names because I don't know anything about Mongolian other than it's an incredibly difficult language to wrap your head around. And they play rock music with traditional Mongolian instruments, including the Morin Khuur, which is a horsehead fiddle, the Tovshuur, which I'm probably mispronouncing, is a Mongolian guitar, and a Tumar Khuur, which is a jaw harp. And if you're a Peanuts fan, you might remember Snoopy running around with the little mouth harp. Wow, 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 wow. Does that ring a bell? No?
No, it doesn't.
I'm talking to myself. So anyway, and then they get the guttural throat singing and bring in some bass and drums, and you've got some really cool metal. So that's what we're going to listen to today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I figured I would do is I've got some background information on the songs. There are English lyric translations on Genius, and it is definitely worth checking out because what they're singing about is also like incredibly cool, even though we can't understand the Mongolian. But it's also not essential to enjoy the song. So
cool.
So track number 1 on the album is called the Gereg, And the Gereg was the first diplomatic passport introduced to the world by the Huns. The Mongolians? Yeah, the Huns.
The Huts.
The Huts. In the 13th century, a person who had a Gereg could travel through many countries without any harm or restrictions. So they named the album and the title track on it the Gereg, so that they can travel to every country in the world freely and share their music with everyone. Their album they consider their passport to the world. And this particular song contains a message about a warrior with the Gereg who travels the world and delivers the words of the great Khan to all. So here is the Gereg. So, strong start to the album.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we're, like, fiddles are replacing the electric guitar. Basically, they're still a solo. In fact, I forgot a couple of times that I was listening to completely different instruments than you would traditionally hear in a...
Yeah, this is... Like, it works so well that, like, I don't even recognize or register that it shouldn't necessarily be classified as what typical metal is.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, it works so well. It's so good.
It's funny, like I've been listening to this in the truck a lot on my way to and from work, and I'll start to sing along. And obviously I can't speak Mongolian. I don't know what they're saying, so it's more.
Are you just grunting?
A lot of a doo doo da and bub bub. It's like scat. I'm scatting when I listen to it, but.
You're shitting? No.
Leaving a little trail of scat between here and Marsh.
I can picture that.
So next song on the album, and this is one of the ones that kind of went viral with a video on YouTube, is Wolf Totem.
Oh, I love Wolf Totem.
So what's the name of the magazine? There's a website called Louder Sound that had an interview with the band, and they gave brief descriptions of all of their songs. So I'm going to kind of utilize that here to set up the songs as we get into them. So Wolf Totem. We believe that everyone has a warrior in them. Through Wolf Totem, we wanted to wake up those inner warriors in each of us so that you can face your fears and overcome them. This song is about facing and accepting the adversaries and coming out as a winner. Wolf Totem. Ten thunderbolts strike at the same time, 100 hearts energized in the thundering roar. Simultaneously, 1,000 colliding thunderbolts and 10,000 lightning strikes in the heavens.
Dr. Seuss.
like a badass Dr. Seuss. Yeah. So that song rocked.
Oh my gosh, I've always loved that song. That was when you told me about the Who. I called them the thing that we call light. That was the first song I listened to because I think they only had like 3 out at the time.
Yeah, probably. So they have cited Metallica as one of their biggest influences, and I can definitely hear the Metallica influence in this song. That sort of driving, dun, 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 dun.
Yep,
something like that.
I can definitely hear the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Quote Chris Schultz. I like it.
Who?
Yeah, no, it's just like the last song. It's not what it usually is, but it works so well that you don't even notice it. Yeah. I really like that bird at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were talking about too the oscillating sound of the throat.
Yeah, throat singing is a thing, man.
Yeah, well, it's like the Doppler effect, like we were talking about. When they made Ben Burt made the lightsaber noise, he had it. He had a microphone and he waved it past the speaker, and that's how he made the sound of whoom, whoom. So it's kind of has the same effect as whoom, whoom, whoom.
It does, and I know. So in the 90s, Tibetan monk chanting became popular for a while, and they do. It's a similar process. It's from the throat, and I remember reading that one of the things that happens, and I don't know if it happens when you're singing, throat singing, but when they were doing the chants, your hard palate in your mouth begins to vibrate, which completely fuzzes out your brain.
Yeah.
So you sort of get like high, I guess, or in this trance state, which is that's cool. Like you're physically causing your brain to short circuit, I guess.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Biology, man.
So the next song is called The Great Chinggis Khan. And so what they wanted to do here was tell their side of the story. Chinggis Khan brought to the world so many good things, such as the postal service, diplomatic passport, international trading. And so in Western culture, like we know Genghis Khan. And I just think it's funny. It's a thing that we do as Westerners where it's Chinggis Khan. And at some point someone said, it sounds like Genghis, so I'm just going to roll.
Well, I read on Wikipedia it was pronounced with a T, which is also Wikipedia, but like Genghis Khan, which is still kind of close to Chinggis.
Yeah.
So
if you don't know who Genghis Khan was, he's the founder of the first great Khan and emperor of the Mongol Empire, which became the largest contiguous empire in history after his death. He came to power by uniting many of the nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. So this song is all about the great Genghis Khan. I definitely think there's something badass about the fact that also these aren't like traditional love songs, or I mean they're singing about some heavy shit.
I had a friend of mine named Will, and Will and I don't talk anymore, but Will he wanted to really get into recording in his own house, and he had a room kind of like this, the vaulted ceiling and everything. This isn't vaulted, but whatever.
Yeah.
It goes up. So yeah, he had like a vaulted ceiling and stuff, and he really wanted to capture the room and make these songs. So he started writing this song about a battle, like a battle like that happened in Mongolia. Mm-hmm. So he wrote this whole thing, and he's got this like really intricate guitar riff, and he's like over the hills, the bloody whatever, like it was so insane. And I'm like, and I remember going there with Something Saturday to go see him, and we were going to talk about recording something with them. And we listened to a song, and they're like, no, we want to write songs about our feelings. I'm like, I want to write songs about battles and like war and stuff. I do love at the end of this song, it sounds like Will Ferrell's burp at the end, Elf, but
and that's the throat singing.
It is the throat singing.
It's interesting. I've noticed this on a number of tracks. So when they're singing lyrics, they definitely have that real deep, and it's coming from the throat. But then there's these sounds in the background, which, at first I presumed was an instrument, and it's the throat singing. It's crazy. So the next track is The Legend of Mother Swan, and the band has this to say about the song. This is a tale of the power of a mother's love for their offspring. In Mongolian culture, we deeply respect our mothers because they are the reason we're here on Earth. This song tells a story how a mother swan protects and saves her babies by sacrificing her own life. We felt like this message should be shared with everyone in this modern world. And this is one of the things that I think is really, really cool. I watched a documentary about the making of this, which I'll post up on our blog when we put the episode up. These guys, they sound badass. They sound like they're, like I would picture Mongolian warriors singing. They are the most humble and appreciative guys. Like they really, what's important to them is sharing this their culture with the world, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So let's listen to the legend of Mother Swan. Kind of felt the spirit of Led Zeppelin in that song.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it's funny, when I got into heavy metal, like Def Leppard was my gateway drug, and they're the ones that got me into like AC/DC and Floyd and Zeppelin and whatnot. I don't know. I always thought like heavy metal was just dun 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 dun, dun, it was driving music. And like when I listen to Led Zeppelin, I'm like, there's such a wide range of styles and sounds to this band. Like it's much more nuanced. And one of the things I really like about the Who, this Who, is even so reading the description of what the story of the song is about, like the song actually seems to convey that. Like I don't understand what they're saying, but I get the emotion and the feeling comes through, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at the English translation, and the story is about a mother swan sacrificing her life for her babies because she met her true love late in the season, and when it turned to winter, the babies weren't ready to fly off yet. The last lines, she took her young ones under her wings to save them from coldness, sacrificed her life and left this world. As the fire of her eyes quenched, her tears stayed pouring. As the last breath of her left her body, her heartache was still there. The mother swan departed in lullabying between sleeping and awake. Like, holy shit.
It's so deep, man.
Yeah, I love it.
Like none of that superficial love crap. That's like,
yeah, these are like motifs, like
pulls on the heartstrings.
So next song is Shug Shug. This was also one of the videos I think that went viral. There's three of them initially that came out. The Wolf Totem and Shug Shug. So Shug Shug is the calling of the Tengri or Mongol gods when the shamans connect to ancestral spirits. This song is praising their sacred landmarks and offering their fate and bounty to the hands of the Tengri. With the upbeat tempo, we'd like to inspire our listeners to get energized. That's what the band had to say. So this is a song to get you riled up. Shug Shug. I feel energized. Totally.
Yeah.
And a lot of this must come from traditional Mongolian war cries. Like looking at the English translations is defend the black banner, unify the Mongols. We offer our faith and lives in your hands. So these like war cries.
Yeah, Mongolia is not that crazy nowadays.
No. They do remind me somewhat of the, oh my Lord, it's been a while since I watched
oh yeah, that.
Game of Thrones, the Dothraki. Because I know it was one of the members of The Who was talking about some festival that they were playing at and drinking fermented mare's milk. It's like, that's hardcore, me.
Yeah.
Drinking alcoholic horse milk. Holy crap.
I thought you meant mare, as in like the person.
As in,
now I get how I'm wrong.
So the next song is called The Same. And, oh man, I'm going to slaughter the pronunciation here. So the lyrics of the song came from a poem written by Sok Tai, which was carved on a rock known as the rock inscription of Scott the Prince in 1624. The message of the song is that the truth is the same everywhere. You could be the king in heaven or a king on earth, but your judgment on good and evil is still the same. The same. Okay, before we go any further, I want to take a minute to talk about the awesome folks at Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way. In fact, it's the way that we make a podcast. Let me explain.
It's free.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
And you can make money from your podcast. Best part, no minimum listenership.
Ooh. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
It's so cool. We found the service. We started using it. We're making podcasts.
Yeah, making podcasts, making money, having a good time.
So listen, you want to get you out there. You want to be heard. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Thank you.
People who are striving to gain food and wealth. Animals who are wandering in the mountain forest. They have differences in carnal bodies, yet their desires to kill and devour are the same.
Dr. Seuss. Dark Seuss. Yeah, we spent so much time in between listening to this and talking about it that I have forgotten how the song went. So my initial reaction is gone now. So this is all you, bud.
Yeah, that was another one of the sort of driving
yeah.
metal sex. I get that like Metallica influence in there. Love it. So
well, listen to this song for yourself. we ruined that one.
So the next one is also one of the ones that was pretty popular on YouTube. You, and this song is about respecting our elders and protecting nature. The members of the band said they were asking our generation, "Why are we like this?" And if I'm remembering this video correctly, it actually starts off with the members of the band, like one of them is sleeping, one's playing video games. They're like just hanging out and doing stuff, and they suddenly get this call to rock out in the wilds of Mongolia. So.
Okay.
And there's a really, really cool bit in this. It sounds like a horse neighing. That's the fiddle. So let's listen to that. So I'm going to apologize. I mispronounced the title of the song. It's Wayu Wayu.
It's Wayu Wayu Wayu.
That reminded me of a camp song for a second. But
yeah.
You too? Like what song?
Wayu 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 Wayu.
It was a great big moose. Oh my God. I wonder.
Remember when I said when we were listening to this, we should do this at camp?
Yeah.
Wayu
Wayu. And apparently I'm guessing that translates to how strange. Yeah, that seems to be the line that's repeated in the song.
Yeah. It's been so long eating and drinking, being merry. How strange, how strange.
And this is kind of cool. So again, part of their mission with this album is to share Mongolian culture with the world and to celebrate their traditions. And yet they have this song in here, which is sort of calling out other Mongolians for abandoning their ancestors and their culture. And that's good. But not in a bad way. Like, they're just like, hey, shame on you. Like, get up and...
all right. This is kind of like The Mandalorian.
This is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most people don't follow that way because he was like of a specific faction of Mandalorians. But,
Yeah, he didn't take too kindly to being called a zealot. Like he didn't get upset, but you could tell it's like, excuse me. So the next song is Gereg. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the band says, this is a farewell song for the warriors from their parents. Back in the days when Mongol warriors went to war, their parents would share their wisdom with them and wish for a safe return. When you listen to the song, you'll hear in the distance the sound of a horse trotting, as the soldiers used to leave their homes for war with their horses. So, put that in your mind as we listen to Gereg. It took me a little while, like halfway through the song, I got the horse trotting, like totally.
Yeah.
It's the rhythm of the song.
But again, it's like the rest of the songs on this album. Like it fits so well, you didn't pick it up.
Yeah, and they do this amazing job of evoking what they're talking about. Looking at the English translation of the lyrics, like the last stanza, we kiss your right cheek as we say farewell. We'll kiss the left one when you return. Farewell, your elderly father and mother will be waiting for you at home. That's a beautiful sentiment.
I always find it very interesting when we listen to music with foreign lyrics, because obviously those rhymes are different than the translation may be.
Yeah.
So like this reads to us like a story, like a book, because it's like a poem that doesn't rhyme. You know, there's a name for
a prose poem as
Yeah.
opposed to like a rhyming poem.
Right. You know, free verse or whatever. And it's fascinating in that regard, that, you know.
And one thing, like I find, and maybe it's because I speak English that I don't see it, but the imagery, like not only in these songs, but in a lot of other cultures, when you translate stuff, and it's the imagery that they use is just so much more, has more depth to it than we typically do in our own language.
Well, a lot of different languages have words for things that we don't. Like Sidney Gish talked about being non-hikikomori.
Yeah, which I mean,
which is
hoarders.
Yeah,
and doesn't have the. That word is more loaded in Japan than hoarder is in English.
Yeah, because it's a hoarder, and then it's also kind of like a troglodyte kind of
thing.
So it's like combination of what we have a number of different words for.
Actually, I was off on a tangent here. Last night I was watching the new series on Netflix, The History of Swearing, which is fantastic and definitely worth checking out. But at one point they were talking about the most popular swears in other countries, and there's one in South Africa that translates to, "I hope your fingers turn to fish hooks and then your balls begin to itch," which is the most amazing curse like I've ever heard. Like that's, yeah.
I hope your fingers turn to fish. I hope you have a taser in your pocket, and it goes on repeatedly
until your heart just gives up.
Wow.
Yikes. So we've reached the last song on the album proper. There's two versions of the Gereg out available. There's the regular album and then a deluxe version. After this song, we're going to talk about the deluxe version a little bit because there's a few things that are worth hearing. But this is the last song on the proper album, and it's called Song of Women. And the Who says, "In our culture, respecting women is one of the most important things. They should be respected and loved everywhere in the world. Every woman is beautiful in her own way. We wanted to praise the women through this song and encourage them to be free and to pursue their dreams." And this particular song, what they're singing about is a warrior who's gone off to battle and is thinking of his wife back home. So, the Song of Women. I felt a bit of cashmere in there.
Yeah, there was a point at the end of the song that like was super casual almost. Like it just went into her 4/4 beat, and then there was this like going, but it got kind of like trancy for a moment, and
Yeah.
not in like an uncomfortable way. Like I could probably listen to throat singing at midnight and have the best sleep ever.
Yeah, it's yeah, trancy. I think when you say trancy, I know my mind kind of goes to EDM, but it's not that.
Yeah, I started to think of
trancy.
soundscapes and crap.
Yeah.
So like Gabe Lewis soundscapes from The Office. Anyway.
And it's interesting that, in my mind, that it evokes cashmere, because cashmere, that's Middle Eastern influence.
Yeah.
And then this is Far East, which makes me wonder, is there a Near East? Or how far do you have to go in the Middle East before it becomes the Far East? Or how west in the Far East do you have to go before it becomes Middle East? Like, what are the boundaries? Specifically, they're probably countries. Like I think Bhutan and Tibet and Mongolia are in China are the Far East.
Just Asia, yeah.
And Asia. So then the Middle East is
I mean,
Iraq,
the
Iran.
Middle East is not at all its own continent, but in a way it's treated that way.
Yeah.
Like Saudi Arabia, Israel, Iraq, Iran, the Fertile Crescent area.
Qatar.
Yeah.
All those, yeah.
Jordan, all that jazz.
So looking at the song, one of the things that I think is interesting when you look at the English lyrics. So the song is a warrior off in a foreign land thinking back to his wife. And again, maybe I'm over romanticizing here, but I think in America, if it was you're singing about your woman back home, it would probably be a little more about missing her physically. But this song ends with the lines, "With the power of love for your motherland, have a fighter spirit in your body. Be steady, as if you were a sword with a sharp blade, as if you were an arrow ready to shoot, spring and fly, ride and rise." At this idea of thinking of women as equal, as warriors, just like themselves, is pretty cool. It's empowering. I like it.
For the record, there are Bahrain, Cyprus, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Palestine, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Turkey, UAE, and Yemen. That's the Middle East.
Yemen. Interesting. So, as I mentioned, that ends the formal album, the Gereg. On the deluxe edition, there's an additional 6 songs. 3 of them are acoustic versions of tracks off the album. Shreg Shreg, Wayu Wayu Wayu, and Shug Shug all get acoustic treatments. The interesting thing, and I want us to listen to 3 songs that are also remakes of songs on the album, but what they did was they had an American heavy metal artist come in and now initially I thought just record like the English translation of the lyrics, but what they did instead is they had them write their own lyrics and music and add it onto the song, which so it's more of a collaboration, which is pretty cool. So the first one is Wolf Totem, and it features Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach. So let's give that a spin. All right, that kicked ass.
Yeah, I kind of liked it better. I think there was this kind of like call and response kind of thing going on. Because it had like a leader and then like it sounded like an army behind him.
And it's interesting. I watched. So there's a great documentary that I mentioned before called I think it's called The Road to Gereg, which is about the band and their process of getting the album together. And Jacoby Shaddix makes an appearance on it. He talks about his collaboration with them, and one of the things that I thought was really cool about him, is he said he treated it very seriously. He's like, "This is sacred music that I'm being asked to join in on." And looking at the English translation of Wolf Totem, you see he definitely like saw what they were singing about, and incorporated that, and then pulled his own thing into it. So that's pretty cool. So the next one is Wii U, which features Ashes to New. And let's do that. So that version slapped.
I'm gonna go home.
Right?
I'm done.
We're
I'm
out of here. Old man's trying to be hip. So again, as with the other song, it seems like Danny Chase from Ashes to New like took to heart the message of the song and then reinterpreted it into his own lyrics.
Danny Case.
Danny Case. Did I say Chase?
You did.
Damn it, it's Case.
You did.
Sorry, Danny.
He really had this he had the aggression I think that was necessary for this song, and I think kind of like, what's the guy's name that we just listened to?
Jacoby Shaddix.
Yes, like he kind of knew what he needed to do here, and I think it was reflected in his performance.
Yeah,
and it sounded like he probably did double takes of his vocals, and I think that really added a good layer.
And it's funny in the interview or the documentary, they talked Danny, and one of the things that he was talking about is in Ashes to New. So that's a hip hop metal band.
Yeah. And
there's two lead singers. One who's the hip hop guy, and then there's Danny who does the metal. Mm-hmm. He actually ends up being a much higher register than the Who because they're doing this throat singing thing. So kind of a cool point counterpoint. Mm. So the last one that we're going to look at before we call it a day on this album is Song of Women.
Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm.
Lizzie Hale of Hailstorm. And I'm going to be completely honest. The first time I listened to this was not when I got the album, but I'm watching the video for it. I'm a father. I have a daughter who's 14. I got choked up listening to this. It just is this message of empowerment, and I know like my daughter, she suffers from some anxiety and she's unsure of herself a lot. She's a 14-year-old girl living in the shitstorm that we call the world today, and I brought her in. I'm like, you need to listen to this song and like find your warrior spirit. So, let's check out Song of Women.
When kings fall to their knees, they sing a woman's song.
Bringing the rock.
Yeah, that was a great song.
Yeah, I really liked that. And again, it's interesting where, I think it's helpful for an American audience to have English lyrics, but it really adds something to the song. It's it's not like it's not gimmicky.
Have you seen the movie? That movie.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Brother Bear.
Wait, what?
Brother Bear, the
No.
Disney movie. Oh, okay. This could be the ending credits to it. Like it's just got this vibe to it that I think work well with the message of the movie. Anyway.
Oh. So that was the Gereg from the Who.
Sick. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and for our listeners, if you enjoyed this album, I really strongly recommend checking out the Who's YouTube channel. So this was their first album release. They do have a single that they recorded for the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video game, which is also really cool. Just recently, They released a cover of Metallica's Sad But True, which is insanely awesome. And it's got a great video to go along with it. They have the documentary about the making of this album. And they also did, so they're working on a new album. And they did a COVID relief concert, which is available on their YouTube channel. And it's got, I think, 3 or 4 songs, which are not on this album. And if there's any indication of what's coming on their next album, they're only going to rock harder, which is cool. So
it's like you were saying about Nirvana. They just get better and better, you know?
yeah. Oh, Kurt, if you'd hung around for at least another couple albums.
You know?
So that was fun. Little international flair for our show. Which was enjoyable. And hopefully we didn't offend any Mongolians with my terrible pronunciation.
Yeah, Gereg. Jar. So what's on deck for the next week? I think that's me, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, even if it's not, it's not. But we'll say it anyway. So, our next episode is going to be actually. So I am going to have the opportunity to interview the Fairview, which is a local band from the southeastern Massachusetts region, about their album Fresh Face and Effervescent, and we will be discussing that as a duo that we are.
Cool. So in the meantime, make sure to check us out at esotericathepodcast.com. You can catch all our social media, and what we try to do in our posts about our episodes is, have some additional information. If you check out the post on the Who, I'll link up the videos I was talking about. So make sure to check that out.
Until next time.
Stay esoteric.